I think what's really clear from this JEC report is that the House Republicans are gambling with the American people's money, and they're not showing their cards. Leader Schumer went over this, but we voted 3 times to raise the debt limit under the previous president. Republicans in Congress voted overwhelmingly to raise the debt limit when President Trump was in office, while he added $7 trillion to the national debt, much of it through his tax cuts. In contrast, in the last Congress, Democrats worked with President Biden, passed a budget bill, and reduced the deficit by hundreds of billions of dollars. And now Speaker Kevin McCarthy and House Republicans are threatening to default unless they get their way, but they won't even tell us what their way is. This report walks through the impacts to average Americans. What does it mean when you have a scenario play out like it did in 2011? And what's clear is that even before you get to default, there are very serious financial implications for the American people. Obviously, millions of jobs would be in peril if the economy cools. 65 million people on Social Security and Medicare could see their benefits disrupted, almost 500,000 in my home state alone, a tiny state of 2 million people. 18 million veterans could see their benefits disrupted. But before you even get to default, if we see interest rates rise the way that we saw them rise in 2011, these are the real-world impacts on average Americans. So think about this. If it costs you $54,000 more to buy a home and to get a mortgage, is that any different than having your taxes raised by $54,000 over the same time period? That's what House Republicans are doing to the American people. So that impacts small business loans, credit card loans, buying a car. All of those costs could go up long before we actually get to a default. These aren't hypotheticals. This is how the constituents in my home state and every state in the union what they'll have to deal with if we don't get this done. So it's time for House Republicans to put their cards on the table, tell us what their budget looks like. The president has published his budget. His cards are on the table, and we will work together to raise the debt limit and pass a budget and appropriations bills just like we do every year. So let's stop with the brinksmanship. Let's not hurt the economy. Let's not hurt the American people.